Welcome back. Hello, welcome to the Spirit of Watercolor with Linda. Glad to see you again. And I'm looking through old paintings, like I mentioned in the previous end of the previous video about scraping and scoring the paintings. And because I was looking to see if I could scrape, and I certainly could do some scoring and scraping and pull some white lines or whatnot in to my old paintings. But then I was looking at these and I thought, I've done a lot of landscape. I realized that over the last year or two I've really been into seascapes and landscapes of all kinds. The monochromatic ones like that, more colorful ones. But one thing they all have in them is a sky and all kinds of different clouds. And so I have, when I taught watercolor, we did clouds, and they're a fascinating thing to do. So two things are going to happen in our next demonstration. We're going to look at how to create clouds of where you find ways to make the white or maintain the white of the paper. We may use a little bit of opaque white also, because I do find that does really work. If you say you've kept the white of the paper but you want to add a little more white, or you want to just just define them a little bit more, you can take that opaque white in and it blends in really nicely. So I want to show you that. And also there's a technique that we're going to call lifting, and you'll see other artists have done this on videos as well. But there's more than one way to lift. So like if you're lifting for clouds, or if you're lifting for in the ground or rocks and things like that. And so I want to show you some of that to pull the white back from the color. And also the other thing that I find is very fun to do and not always thought of by people is to add other colors into our sky. I had some really interesting different colors that I've used beside blue. And what about a purple sky, or a opera pink sky, or yellow sky? So there's so many wonderful skies. If you go to Alaska, apparently the skies at some times of the year don't look blue at all. So let's get in there, and this is where creativity and imagination can actually merge or be like reality. We might think this is not real, but you might really find these things in this amazing world we live in. It's a beautiful place, and it looks different everywhere on the planet. So let's take a look now at some cloud examples that I'm going to lay in some washes, and we'll do some lifting, and we'll try some of this opaque white. So welcome back. Let's go to the table. So we're back at our studio, and we're going to look at lifting to get white. We're going to do clouds. I'm going to make the land very minimal here, so let's just do a quick maybe pencil line of and we'll just do a quick line here just to define a little bit of something in the bottom of this arches paper here. Okay, this is 140 pound. Actually a heavier paper might actually work better when you're new at this. I have a probably pretty good water control. We'll see. Okay, so I'm just making a little bit of rockiness down at the bottom here. Not a whole lot of information. We're going to just kind of get loose and wet down there, and that's it. Okay, I like that graphite pencil. I forgot about that. It's nice and deep, soft. You can lift it out easily, but it's dark. You can see it there, I think. And then we're going to make a sky, but we're not going to go our typical blue. I was looking at the top of my palette, leftover stuff here, paints from other uses, and what if we took some of these beautiful rose colors and used this up and the purple, which is gorgeous here. I've got a couple purples going on there, or else it's a mixture probably of the carbazole and the rose, quinacridone rose, and this yellow. I'm not sure, but it's pretty. It might be a sommelier yellow. Okay, so I don't always know what colors I have there, but I know it's a transparent and it's an intense yellow, orange, violet, you know, kind of, not violet, yellow, warm violet, or yellow. And then I'm just wetting my paper with my favorite Cotman, somewhat flattish brush that's kind of like a mop brush for me. It gets a nice even amount of water onto this paper. I'm just going to line this around my rocks there. If it dries, I can re-wet it, but I just want to get the entire area wet. Okay, because we're going to work big. We're going to take a big brush and get the paint on the paper. And where I see there's not shine, it's probably not wet, so I'm going to do that. Okay, it may curl a little, but now the other tool is going to be this, and we're going to be doing some lifting and blotting with this. I may actually need to go get a tissue because this is a little hard-edged. I think it might not be soft enough. So let's do that, and then we'll continue on here. Okay, I'll go get that tissue. Be right back. Okay, I've got tissue, and we're going to be using that. It's much softer, and scrunching it and lifting with this. Okay, now let's get some of that gorgeous color on there. I've kind of enjoyed that Stonehenge paper, but I think it's kind of, how do I say, it's got my big flat brush here. It seems like once the paper is dry, the colors have lightened a lot. That might just be me. I'm not adding enough values. You know, sometimes even, well, that's one of my issues, that maybe others too, you know, is you can get too light. You know, we really need to keep our palettes as loaded as possible. I think that could have been a little more wet because I got a little dry brush on that first layer, which I wasn't expecting, but hey. So this is very pretty and intense color, hopefully. Just load a lot of this on there. I may start to actually put, I want to get that as even as possible. Okay. I mean, as far as, you know, no white in there. I'm going to go with some purple now. It's being mixed into the other color here. And I'm going to let it sort of variegate in. Okay, it's going to do some interesting blends here. And then we're going to have it just kind of continue on. You can do this however you like. You can add whatever colors you want and see what happens. Yeah, I'm just kind of letting some of that yellow in now. It's just pretty. I might have to get more yellow in here. They may do a little bit of a graying out there, so and that's okay. Sometimes there's some gray in the sky as well, right? Okay, I've got this board at an angle, so I'm going to bring in some nickel azo yellow, which is one of my favorite yellows. And we're going to bring some of that in and kind of hope for a little more beauty in that goldenness there. And bring some up in here too, just random. Okay, I'm just going to blot my brush here because it got very, very wet into my paper towel. Then I'm going to let this graduate to almost a white, but not quite. Okay, and then I'll clean that up if I need to down at the bottom. All right, now I was watching some other people, and you might want to do that also, you know, people using blue, the typical blues that we use for clouds and so on. And if you would rather do that, that's great. I mean, you know, oops. And here, I think I'm now ready to do some lifting of clouds. Okay, let's get the right cloth, you know. This is my tissue. And I'll show you a few things I've learned from, you know, just observing other people and just, you know, experience from back in watercolor days too. As you can see here, you know, the lifting creates some hard edge, which of course, when we're looking at our detail book there, you know, hard edges are creating a kind of a detail, right? Okay, I really like that. I'm going to bring some of this up over here and up Just some clouds up in here. And one thing I've learned from watching a few other wonderful YouTube people is that the more I press, you know, the more white I'm going to get there, the harder I press in. Okay. And I get some of these lovely cloudy type lines. And what was explained in the videos I was observing is that you're pulling that out, so it's kind of drying the paper, so it's stopping it from doing the water coming down in there. So it should stop that and allow it to. Ooh, look at that! See, you might need to turn this around from time to time, this tissue, just to get a little more white to pull, so you're not actually putting color back into it, which I don't think would happen with this tissue. I went and got a whole box of tissue, and I'm gonna have to go either put it back or get some more where I took it from the upstairs. And yeah, now one of the things that I found was very interesting was what one of the artists was saying, and this is really cool. So I take a nice maybe round brush, wet it good, and I can soften some of these edges, right, and kind of make this a little smoother where I'd like, or and so on. Okay, and maybe I can bring in a little of that color back in as well if I like. Okay, so it's kind of, for me, it's going to be in and out of it's kind of in and out of going back and forth, I want to say, between lifting and softening. So lifting with the tissue, and then softening and lifting and softening. It seems like it's a back and forth kind of thing. So you might want to play with that and see. Okay. And I have to think about where else I might want this before this water dries, and I can't put it there. So yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to add in darker values after this dries. But what happens is that, you know, you're going to get a first value down, and then, you know, decide. And I'm going to kind of make my board like this while the paint's wet. I get some interesting, because of the gravity, some of the water or the paint's running that way. I might want to kind of let it go other directions. I always like to do that. And again, soften some of this if I wish. I can bring in a little more color in underneath if I wish. I can darken. That's interesting. Looks like I picked up some color somewhere. And just don't be afraid to try it and practice, and you'll see that this is a way of, you know, maintaining whites. I did mention that we can add in some, and something I do is I will often add more watercolor opaque white if I want to later, to kind of define these a little more, but we'll look at that later and see. Okay, I wish I'd have gotten more beautiful purple in there, so I'm gonna see if I can do that. I've got Carbazzo Violet on my palette here. Oops, sorry. Forget where the camera is sometimes. I'm not really sure if I want to put that blue in there. I sometimes grab the wrong color. Or we could mix the blue, make our own interesting purples as well. Because sometimes, you know, just having white lifts, it doesn't really look like a cloud until you do, again, that softening, and then adding some sort of color, you know, back behind these. I'm trying to decide where I'd like some purple in here. I'm not totally sure yet, but I was watching some people do this, and I'm really quite interested in how they create some beautiful clouds, you know, just by, again, softening and blending, and then lifting back and forth. And getting some things that, and softening with the brush here. Softening, so it kind of blends. I might be ending up getting a little bit too much blooms down there, so I think I'm going to add more color. It's a real spontaneous thing we're doing. Just maybe a little too wet in there. So let's see. Yeah, the more colory, the better. I'm creating some kind of an interesting blue-gray there. I'm still adding yellow. Put some up over here. Now as it's drying, I'm starting to see some things that I kind of know what I want to do. I think I'm going to, well, it got a little gray down here. I'd like to kind of bring in a little more of that beautiful yellow. I think that's kind of what is exciting me right now, is the beauty of some of my favorite colors, and this is one of them. And I see it kind of glowing through, and I'd like to have just a little more of that in here, I think. And but I'm letting the paper sort of soak in the clear water again a little bit, and then we're gonna add a little more of this yellow. Got some over there and over here, and some in there. I don't want to overdo it, but I want to get a little here and there. Okay, let's see if I can make this more sort of where your eye follows, you know, from up there and down around into here. And again, sometimes watercolor does some crazy loose things, but if you look at the sky, sometimes it does too. That's kind of how I see it anyway. I don't know if everyone sees the way I do. So yeah, take what you like from this and try it, and if there's things which you want to try differently, you know, there's lots of other people instructing out there, and slightly, none of us do it exactly the same, you know, that's the truth. I'm sort of doing this where I add the color, and now I'm just kind of taking it and letting the water underneath kind of let it flow, because you know me, I like paints to flow. And it kind of goes into a complex color down here, soft lavender, pinky, I don't know, and that's okay. Maybe I'm not going to try. It felt like it was a little gray, but now that it's drying, I don't mind so much. I think after this dries, if I need any more, I'll add it, but yeah, I'm kind of trying to decide what's going on in the middle there. But right now, that's okay. We'll get back to it. When this dries, I'm so excited to put in some rocky kind of ground under here, and then it'll mainly be a painting about the sky. Okay, I do feel like I need a little yellow here because I don't know yet. Okay, we'll come back. There we go. Got my Indanthrone blue, and I'm gonna mix it. You know, I don't always mix. I oftentimes go straight from the tube. Here we got a whole bunch. We're gonna use all that because I didn't know after a while what was Rose of Ultramarine and what was Quin Pink. So, ooh, there's a beautiful color, and there's this beautiful color. So we're gonna do a more bluish purple and a more purplish blue, and I could add some maybe earth tone in there, but right now I'm just kind of liking the idea of just getting in here, doing some dark clouds here. Let's see, I'm not going to get myself in there, I hope. I might. And then we're just going to come in and create some land, and we're going to do some variegated wash here, okay? At some point. I'd like some more blue in there. I'm using a lot of paint here, and then I can figure out how much more value that I would like in the top part as well. Okay. Just getting in there and creating some interesting land. It's going to soften in value here. Hope you can see that and not my head. This is how much value that I'd like to see even come back into the sky at some point too. And I'm going to let that kind of run too. If you want the angle, you know, you tip the board a little bit this way and that way. Okay. I'm going back and forth between it being more blue and more purple. Okay. Here, I'm going to tip my board so I can get in here. And the next thing we're gonna do, which I almost did here, is a little dry brush exercise, and then make a painting with it. That's my goal this week, is to do 2 videos. Okay. What I'm liking here is that there's some more white than I have here, but again, I can do some of that lifting here too, right? Take that tissue. If I want to bring in some whites here, I could do that also. Okay. You can do that on rocks, on land, whatever you want. Okay. Yeah. I'll bring in some, maybe the pinks over here. Haven't decided about the yellow. Maybe a little yellow. We'll see. Let's get over here a little. Oh, that palette's full of good stuff, right? We're gonna do some variegations over here. Woohoo! Yeah. Okay. It's a little looser on this side. I'm not sure which side I like better. You decide. Or you can do both. All right, so I really darkened that, as you saw. Now I'm just, oops, sorry. I really darkened that, and then I'm adding this Hansa Yellow Deep, which really mimics that yellow I ended up sort of creating up there. It really is interesting how sometimes you'll mix colors and end up with something that's in your tubes. And then I'm just creating a little more drama down here with the flat brush, small flat brush. I think it's a 1/2 inch. And I'm just kind of chiseling in just some land here. You know, sort of this mountaintop. It's kind of ethereal. And I just kind of did that just to kind of create some interest down here. But, you know, it's just kind of this sort of land that's kind of abstract and just intense and beautiful. And then I added more purple up there. I might add a little more up here down the road. I'm debating. There is some line of definition. A little bit of purple there. I could go with that and bring it up there. But, you know, I like this better now that it's just kind of simplified. I kind of fogged it with the white paint here. And it's quite a fun painting. I really like overall what happened. It's certainly not my typical blue sky painting. I may need to add a little more whites in here just to, yeah. But, you know, you can overdo, but just keep those strong colors as much as possible. I wanted to soften up here, but, you know, I think I'm just going to leave it because it's still pretty strong value, even though it's not as strong as I would have liked it. It's pretty fresh. So we'll let that dry and then photograph it like we do to see if things are finished and make some decisions. I'll pop it back into the center of the screen there. Actually, I'll pick it up and we'll take a look here too. It's just kind of a... These colors were inspired. I was looking at some of the northern lights and what they do and in Alaska. And there's greens too, so I was really tempted to do lime green, but we didn't do that. You could do that. Yeah, we could try that next. Anyway, so much for fun with clouds and lifting. All right. I may have overdone it a little, and there are some things I need to clean up still. Some whites here that the white paint got a little heavy, and just some spots where I'm just going to soften that up and make them flow better. Just little marks that I don't know what happened there exactly. This is better than it was. I do like the piece. I do think that it may have gotten where I got laboring into it trying to pull these colors back in. So what we do, and I've talked about this, I've done videos about this. When you're not sure if it's too much, I'll put a mat on it and see. But here we are, where I have started over, okay? This is much looser because I'm all warmed up now, and I know to stop, you know, and I got higher concentrations on there of color to begin with, and that Arches paper's holding it well. Now down here, you know, I could do that land again. Now, but what I like here is this almost, and this could change the, you know, my painting, what it's going to be, but some of this here almost I could bring those in as sort of like trees or mountains up in there and keep a lot of that loose free shaping that it's done itself, as opposed to that trying to fit that into being part of the clouds. It might be part of the land. But anyway, I really like that, and it's a product of this, which, like I said, if it's a painting that I'm not sure about, it may just end up being a sketch, of which then we move over and we redo. And it usually goes quicker, as I've said before, and much fresher for me. So don't be discouraged if something happens and you feel like it's a little, maybe I got a little too heavy-handed with it. Now, maybe not. It's probably a matter of opinion. But I like it looser like this. I like this kind of thing more for watercolor. Some people like the detail. So you decide, okay? Okay, there we go. So I hope you enjoyed painting clouds with me. I think that if you are more interested in more kinds of clouds like stratus and you know, there's different clouds beside just your cumulus, which is what we were looking at today. Let's find out and let me know. And thank you for experimenting with me and using tissue and lifting clouds. Now let's go to our next video. I'm really excited about this because we're going to be doing dry brush and finding out some things we can do using dry brush as detail in our watercolors. Thanks so much again for watching and joining me and subscribing. And yes, if you haven't yet, please do. Please join us. We're on a journey together where watercolor is a spiritual journey. It's a place where we come together to forget about the struggles of the world for a little while and then find peace and serenity in ourselves and fill our well, right? And then we have more energy to get back to the world as well. So it's not like you're just doing this only for ourselves. Other people can enjoy our paintings and find peace and beauty, and or express, you know, if you express other emotions in your videos, you can do that as well. Thanks again. I'll see you soon. I'm gonna be dry brushing.